Wedding season brings out the absolute worst in people, so here we go. My brother Jay is marrying his fiancée Debbie soon. Debbie asked my sister Christina and me to be bridesmaids, but we both turned it down. This becomes relevant later. A few weeks ago, Debbie contacted Christina and me and demanded that we throw her a bridal shower. However, this was more directed at me as Christina is currently in university. Her reasoning was that it was the least we could do after we said no to being bridesmaids, didn't have any costs and hadn't contributed to the wedding yet. I told Christina I would handle it since she's very conflict averse. I sent Debbie a polite text saying we would not be planning, hosting or attending any such shower. Debbie got very angry and implied she would try to uninvite us from the wedding. I'm not wrong to think that this is something the maid of honor usually does for the bride, so I'm curious why this evening came close to landing on our plate in the first place. Jay asked Christina and me to reconsider and even said he would pay for it if we'd just pretend we did, but I said absolutely not, and Christina couldn't really plan it all on her own. Jay is now getting pressure from Debbie to react to this in some way. I guess she wants us uninvited or to have some consequences for us not helping. This has caused a fair bit of drama. Jay's mother, not my mother, has used this as an excuse to lay into him about Debbie, whom she dislikes. Jay's dad and best man are giving him crap for letting her treat us this way, and Jay is digging his heels in because he feels like we're all ganging up on him. He's accused me of ruining the wedding planning experience and thinks that he won't end up with a lot of family there if this happens. I don't think I'm in the wrong for not wanting to do the shower. Am I? Edit, we said no to being bridesmaids because we're busy. Christina is a full-time student in a different city. I have a startup to run and the construction of a house to oversee. Neither of us had the time for dress fittings, a bachelorette trip, all the ancillary brunches and lunches, etc. Christina has a significant age gap with Debbie and she is a shy person. She wouldn't have wanted to do it without me since she doesn't know anyone else. From my side, I don't have the bandwidth, and even if I did, being a bridesmaid isn't fun unless you're close to the bride. But the overwhelming reason we said no is that we couldn't dedicate time to it and thought it was best to leave the position for people who wanted it and would have felt honoured. Debbie picked 2 other bridesmaids. Not the idiot. It seems totally weird that having refused to be bridesmaid, she would ask you that, especially since that's the maid of honor or another close friend's job normally. She's looking to cause drama by doing this knowing you'd refuse and looking for an excuse to uninvite you from the wedding. Strange power play by her. LOL. Are you guys significantly more well off than her circle or something? Your sister is in college, so why would she think you two could afford it? Debbie's likely too far gone to hear logic from you, and possibly anyone anymore. Still, your brother really needs to step in here. He must explain to her again that you guys said no for good reasons. Of course, all Debbie's going to hear is, they're supposed to be or becoming family, and they don't care about me enough to make time for me. I wish you luck in dealing with her as a sister-in-law. At least that's if your brother doesn't take a look at the drama and rethink things anyway. I'm shocked a woman whose behaviour has caused such strong feelings amongst her fiancé's family doesn't have close friends of her own tripping over themselves to throw her a shower. Debbie is a manipulative idiot. You don't demand for a bridal shower. Tell her to go ahead and uninvite you and your sister. There's absolutely no economic value or benefit to attending her wedding. Jay will have a miserable life unless he wakes up and stops this wedding. My husband, daughter, teen, stepkids, young teen and teen, and I just came back from a 2-week vacation. My daughter is very smart and is very good at a lot of things. She's also very competitive. My husband is also very competitive. My daughter started off this vacation by telling my husband there was Sudoku on the plane and explaining how to play. He didn't know that she'd been playing Sudoku for months. She made a bet with him that if she finished the hardest level first, he'd buy her Wi-Fi for the flight. If he finished first, she'd share a bed with his younger daughter on the trip. His younger daughter was complaining about sharing with his oldest because she kicks and sleeps in the middle of the bed. She beat him and pestered him until he bought the Wi-Fi. When we got there, she'd challenge him to races on land and in the pool. She's won medals at state track meets and has been swimming since she was 2. Every day she'd challenge him to something, win, and he'd have to buy her something from the resort or local shops. My husband was getting sick of losing, and my stepdaughters were upset that their dad was buying her stuff and not them, so I told my daughter she either couldn't compete with her stepdad or she had to let him win. She decided to tell her stepdad that she wasn't allowed to compete with him anymore because he couldn't handle losing. This made them start to argue, so I told her that if she kept it up she'd be grounded at the resort for the rest of the trip, a little over a week at this point. She decided to test me, so I stuck to my word, and she was left at the resort while the rest of us went out every day. The vacation was much more enjoyable without her turning everything into a competition. Still, she told her dad when she got back that we grounded her, and he's mad at me now for leaving her there and excluding her from the vacation because my husband couldn't act like an adult. I told him my daughter was warned to stop, but she decided to test me. Now he's forcing her to stick to the custody schedule. Technically, I have her every other weekend, but he was letting her go back and forth whenever she wanted, and is threatening to go to court for child support and back pay. Am I the idiot for grounding her for ruining the vacation? I cannot stop laughing at the scenario of an adult being challenged by a teenager and constantly losing but still accepting every bet. This is honestly the funniest thing I've read on the internet in weeks. It feels like it came straight from The Simpsons. Dull. Anyway, you are the idiot and your husband is a fool, but thank you for the laughs. Imagine being married to a boy you can't handle losing to a teenage girl instead of being proud she's so talented. OP, she's way better off away from you. You seem to really dislike her. Or maybe you're threatened by your husband spending time with her. Something is off with you. You treat her unfairly and punish her unjustly and too harshly. She needs a mother who loves her, uplifts her and advocates for her, not one who uses their position of authority to unjustly ostracize her from family time. You know, I was wondering how we could know that he was genuinely upset and not just play grousing, just good-natured bonding. I thought it was possible that maybe she thought her daughter was taking advantage of her husband because she either doesn't think much of her husband or has a really messed up idea of human relationships. But I hadn't considered that there might be some kind of competition in her mind for the husband's attention. I, 26 male, was in a relationship with my girlfriend, 26, for 6 years. I was engaged to her and our marriage was scheduled in a few months. My girlfriend had a daughter at a really young age. Her ex left the state immediately after he heard she got pregnant. When I started dating my girlfriend, her daughter was a toddler. Over the past 6 years, I've considered her my daughter and treated her as such. I had plans to legally become her stepfather after marriage. I loved my daughter so much. However, a couple of months ago, my girlfriend confessed she'd been having an affair after I saw her text from her co-worker. The texts were so outrageous that she really couldn't lie about the affair. She said she'd been having an affair for a few months. I cancelled the engagement and the wedding and moved out a week later. My girlfriend's daughter was a bit confused and it hurt me, but I really didn't want to be around my girlfriend anymore. I've now completely cut off contact with both my girlfriend and her daughter. My girlfriend still texts me frequently and is asking me to reconsider at least maintaining a relationship with her daughter temporarily because her daughter has constantly been asking where her dad is and has even been crying a lot. This hurts me a lot, and I really wanted to maintain a relationship with my girlfriend's daughter. The issue is that if I go to their house, I will have to see my girlfriend's face, and I just can't stand to see her face anymore. I'm trying to leave it all behind and have already started going on new dates. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You should probably move on. It'll be the best way to get over it. You'll only hurt yourself more by seeing your ex. And when your ex gets in another relationship, she'll just cut you out of her daughter's life, and there's nothing you can do about it since you have no legal right to see her. Rode this ride before. Just because you care about the kid doesn't mean the ex cares about you caring about the kid. When she finds a new guy, you are gone. Your ex knew what she was doing when she banged a co-worker and what it had cost. She's just unhappy that she's paying the price, and each time the kid cries, it's a constant reminder of how badly she messed up. So she wants you to pay that price instead. If OP really wants her gone, he can tell her there's no way he can lie to the kid about why he had to go away and take the fall for her. Well, all of this is probably true, still the kid is the one left with trauma. I would at least talk to the kid if I were OP to explain that she isn't the reason he's leaving, that he loves her and cares about her. Just explain to her before he disappears, so she isn't left with all the questions her mother probably isn't giving her answers to. It's for the kid, not for the mother. Damn, a pre-tween losing 2 dads for her mom's poor decisions. Poor kid. I, 36 female, have been married to my wonderful wife Anna, 35 female, for the past 10 years. We have a kindergarten-aged son, Liam. Anna and I both work during the day, so Liam spends the time until one of us can pick him up at his kindergarten. The other day, Liam's teacher called me and said they would appreciate if we both were available when we picked him up, because he'd gotten in an argument and they wanted to talk to us. Initially I was worried, so I moved a few of my meetings and called my wife. We both went to pick him up. The whole issue is he'd gotten into an argument with a girl over the rules of a game they were playing. The teacher said as he got angry, he started speaking in a different language, and no one could understand what he was talking about. The other kid's parents said speaking in a way no one understood was offensive and that we should have taught him better. Now, I am a Greek woman and my wife is French. We live in an English-speaking country. While Liam can undoubtedly speak English, he occasionally uses Greek and French. Anna and I learned each other's languages, so our household is a mix of all three languages at different times. He picked up on both of them and can speak them more or less. I said we'd clearly taught him well since he's been able to speak in other languages fluently this whole time, but only slipped when he was frustrated during an argument. I said it was in no way offensive, that it was a human reaction, and that Liam would surely get it under his full control over time. But he's young, so maybe we should all take a deep breath. The other kids' parents were extremely mad, saying their daughter was so upset she cried after the argument and that Liam had to apologize for making her feel this frustration by using another language. My wife answered them with the same overall point as I did, but they didn't back down. Even the teacher said we had to work on helping Liam, not making this a recurring theme, which is fair. After the meeting was over and we were going to drive away, the other kid's dad commented, "You're all arrogant rich people driving cars like this and thinking whatever you're doing is right in front of the kids." I got really mad and said I hope you're a better parent than what I'm guessing you are. After we went home, Anna and I told Liam not to speak to other people in a language they didn't understand. Later, we talked among ourselves and wondered if we'd escalated the whole argument even more. I'm asking on behalf of both of us. Were we the idiots? Not the idiot. The kid shouldn't be restricted to English only. I'm a white, English-speaking person, and I grew up with a lot of immigrants. It was super common for people to switch to many different languages, and it was also common for me to get yelled at in Vietnamese or another language when someone was upset with me. LOL. It's just a super common thing for people to speak in their own native tongue when upset. The idiot teacher and tiny brat of a little kid who cried can both just suck it up and shut up. By acting like this, the girl and her parents feel justified that somehow they were wronged when a different language was spoken. So stupid. Our little Susie only speaks one language. Liam makes her feel bad for speaking three. God forbid your kid exposes their kid to another culture. Oh, the horror. The offense. It could have been a great teaching, growing moment for that little girl and your son if the teachers and her parents hadn't been so bloody dramatic. After the children calmed down, they could have, "Hey, if you didn't understand what he said, why don't you ask him to teach you a few Greek or French words?" I agree that everyone needs to take a breath. There is nothing offensive here. Even the teacher sounds a bit ridiculous, chastising you over what is clearly an accident by a flipping little boy. An apology doesn't even seem warranted. Apologize for what? You say you don't understand, I use simpler words, and life goes on. People making a big deal out of it seems unnecessary. I live in a rented house split 3 ways. I didn't know my roommates before meeting them. Everything was decided by the landlord. When I first came, I was informed that specific cabinets and fridge spaces belong to certain people. For example, the left side cabinet belongs to the renter assigned as number 1. The middle cabinet belongs to the renter assigned as number 2. The third cabinet belongs to the renter assigned as number 3, etc. The landlord told me this, it was on my contract, and the 2 housemates seemed to uphold this rule since when I first came. The right side cabinet and bottom of the fridge, which is weirdly very much even, like it doesn't go like a normal fridge and doesn't have sidebars, were stated to be mine. I was strictly told not to impede or use others' items. All was well, in fact I liked this rule very much. The problem came when I did some minor grocery shopping and saw some stuff that definitely wasn't mine in my section of the fridge. Almond milk, carton and chicken from BJ's. I was a little miffed but texted the group chat to ask who it belonged to and why it was in my section. Housemate number 1, Leah, said it wasn't hers and confirmed when housemate number 2, Cheryl, said it was hers and just needed temporary space because her section was full. I was a little annoyed and texted that I would have appreciated her asking me first, but I get that she needed temporary space. I asked her to come move her stuff or at least let me squeeze into her section because I just picked up my own groceries. Cheryl refused and said she was busy and that she already tried to squeeze it in, and to her credit she was right. I had no way of squeezing in the carton and chicken plate without crushing something. I replied that I was moving her stuff out of my section because I couldn't let my stuff rot. I asked Leah in the chat if she would mind me putting Cheryl's stuff with hers. Leah said no, and I respected it. I left her carton and chicken plate on the counter, put my groceries in, and continued my day. Problems came to a head when Cheryl asked to speak with me in the living room. She went off on me for basically tossing her food away because the chicken and milk weren't good or safe anymore after being left out. I said sorry, but it was my space in the fridge. Cheryl asked me to compensate, but I refused. She said she'd get the landlord involved for touching other people's items, and I got a little hot-headed and said I'd just get at her for using someone else's space. Leah yelled at us to shut up, that we're both childish witches, and that threatening the landlord is a low blow. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Good on you for standing up for yourself. If you'd let it slide, this would not have been the last time. It would have become a habit of hers to take advantage when she felt she needed to. The rules are clear. She broke them. It didn't cost her much, and hopefully she has learned a lesson. Also, good on the landlord for making clear rules. I bet they've had trouble with people getting into long, dirty fights over space in the fridge. Also, Leah is pretty hypocritical for calling you both childish when she wouldn't even let Cheryl have some space temporarily that would have solved the issue. I believe Leah's approach is correct. Setting strict boundaries from the beginning can prevent future troubles, specifically referring to boundary setting, as she doesn't need to shout. When offering your space to someone like Cheryl, who tends to occupy others' space without asking, providing a friendly concession might lead to her continually borrowing your space in the future. Having firm boundaries has benefits, and Cheryl evidently chose to occupy OP's space instead of hers because of Leah's strictness. OP, never let this stuff slide. Give an inch and they will take a mile.